Is he? I mean, I don't know. I don't know this guy. I mean, is it normal to let your biggest city in your state burn while you're the governor for 4 days, destroying thousands of businesses, hundreds of millions of dollars in property damage while you do nothing? Does that sound normal? Is it normal for your wife to say she opened the window so she could let the smell of tire fires waft in so they could take in the smells of this radical chaos and anarchy on the streets of Minneapolis? I don't view any of that as normal. I look at this through the lens of decision making. And in 2 cases, they've showed us who they are. Kamala Harris absolutely bowed down to the radical left in her party by not picking Shapiro, who is Jewish. There was a nasty campaign run against him. Everybody knows it. No one wants to admit it, but everybody knows it. And she wound up choosing the person who was not Jewish and not as talented, and not from the state that she has to win. He did a nice job tonight. Everybody can see why he was the best choice, but she couldn't do it because the party is somewhat awash in anti-Semitism. And for Walz, when he did what he did during the riots, to me, it was him saying, I don't have the strength or the character to stand up to this anarchy. So in 2 big decision points for this ticket, they've showed us they will always bow down to the radical left. So I think if you want to talk about normal, to the normal people in this country, bowing down to the radical left is not normal. It shouldn't be normal, and it should be a flashing red light to the normies of America that this is not the ticket for you.
You know, one of the big issues in this election is a woman's right to choose. And guess what? Kamala Harris got a choice to make, and she got to make the choice who was going to be her running mate and who she was going to go into the next 90 days in, and maybe the next 4 years, and maybe the next 8 years. You don't get to tell her who she has to run with. She gets to choose that. That's what leaders do. There's no way you can say Tim Walz is radical because he wants to feed kids. He doesn't want kids to go home. You know who gets hungry is white kids, black kids, brown kids, poor kids get hungry. That doesn't discriminate. That's that's Tim Walz's policy. That's not a radical left.
I said it was radical to let Minneapolis burn.
You
agree?
Yeah. No, but let's go back to 2020. If you want to have a contest about who's more radical, you know it was radical sending troops out to clear protesters out in front of the White House so Donald Trump could have a photo op. You want to know what's radical? Not telling people on January 6th to stop, that you lost the election, and that Trump, his own vice president, Mike Pence, who won't come in a football field length of him right now, that's radical. That's who your guy is. I'll take Tim Walz any day.
There should have been troops on the streets of Minneapolis immediately. It was burning to the ground.
Let me just say one thing before you come in, and that is because you brought up Josh Shapiro.
Yeah.
We have been talking about the fact that there was a campaign against him.
Ugly.
That was clearly, I want to say, because based on the fact that he was Jewish, he doesn't have any different policy ideas than the other people. However, I don't think we have any evidence that that is why she didn't pick him. In fact, if you watched him tonight, and I want to stay on the people who are on the ticket, but if you watched him tonight, he has top of the ticket energy.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Not VP energy. And there's no way in my, there's no way that wasn't part of it.
I know Jamie has some good reporting on this, and I have some visibility into this.
Yes.
I think that there was a real, I don't think he was excluded for that reason. I'm not sure he was excluded at all. I think there was a mutual meeting of the minds as to whether this was the right fit for him with her. I appreciate, as the only, oh no, you're here, but just let me, oh yes, all of us. But I appreciate your, I'm, you know, anti-Semitism is something that a lot of us have faced in different ways, and my family has faced, and so on. I don't like to see it exploited here. One of the things that separated this rally from a Trump rally is it felt very wholesome. It felt very positive. It wasn't just a series of sort of appeals to hate and division and grievance. And so I think, you know, I mean, I understand the talking point. I'm sure we'll hear more of it.
Could I just, Scott, give me 1 second. Scott, one moment. Take a beat. I think it's important to add to that 2 things that we have from our reporting. One is that even going into this selection, Josh Shapiro had some, let's just say, hesitancy or questions about whether he wanted to be the number 2.
Yep.
You may remember that 3 weeks ago, there were a lot of people who were not sure that Kamala Harris was going to be the most exciting ticket. It feels very different now. And he is someone who definitely has ambitions to run, and he was looking at down the road. And we have new reporting tonight from our team that, in fact, when he went into his vetting meeting and also in his in-person meeting with Harris, he made it very clear what kind of vice president he wanted this to be. It was much more of a 2 for the price of 1. He wants to be in the room. He wanted to have a real say in these things. There are sources we've talked to who feel that in those meetings, Shapiro sort of set the stage not to be picked as her number 2.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody stand by because our special coverage is going to continue. We just saw the first rally with Vice President Harris and Governor Walz, and we're going to continue talking about that. Jake Tapper is going to be with us again from Philadelphia. Maybe he's going to have a wristband. I don't know. Caitlin Collins is going to join as well. Stay with us.